Trying to earn a living as a designer can be really difficult, and it can be frustrating and lonely, especially if you're relying solely on freelance work. And so if this is you, if you're struggling to make the kind of money that you want to make, this video is going to be perfect for you, because I'm going to break down the 4 phases that you need to follow in order to get to where you're making $10,000 per month and beyond. And I'm going to break this down into these 4 phases so you can identify which phase you're currently in, and then what you need to do to ramp up your income, start earning more, landing more projects. And a lot of these things are things that you might not have thought about that are going to make a massive difference for you. So with all of that said, let's jump into phase 1. So phase 1 is the getting started phase. And I want you to imagine that you have been plopped down on an island. You're the only one there. You're stranded. You've got no food, no water, no shelter, and you're just all alone with no idea what to do. And this is what it's like when you're in the getting started phase. You really don't know where your next move is, where your next meal is going to come from. And so a lot of times you just end up eating whatever you can. You end up eating bugs a lot of times. And that's what it's like as a new freelancer. You just take on any project that you can. It doesn't matter how much they pay or how miserable the project is or how annoying the client is. You've just got to do whatever it takes to eat. And this is not a fun phase to be in, right? But we all have to go through it. And in this phase, our primary objective is to, of course, do whatever we can to survive and to pay our bills, but also to get experience at all costs. And so again, this might mean taking on projects that aren't fun or are stressful or clients that don't treat you right. And that's all part of the gig. But the hope is that you can push your way through this getting started phase as quickly as possible to get to phase 2. Now, during this first phase, you want to do everything possible, again, to get experience, to hone your skills, to get better, and to push forward and accelerate your learning so you can reach the point where you're ready to actually think like a business owner rather than just an underpaid freelancer. Now, during this first phase, you're also going to want to practice on raising your rates and charging different rates and seeing what people are willing to charge and improving on your negotiation tactics. All of this should improve consistently throughout phase 1. So if you're in phase 1 still and you're not increasing your rates or you're having a hard time finding new clients, you've got to just get down and dirty. This means reaching out to family and friends and opening your mouth in any situation that you can and being annoying and just trying your best to land projects. And yes, you might be seen as the annoying designer, but if you can just get a couple projects under your belt, you're going to push through phase 1 a lot more quickly, and you're not going to have to sit in this phase where you're just eating bugs. All right, so now you're moving into phase 2. Now, phase 2 is a lot more fun to be in because you're starting to get the hang of things. So let's take you back to our example of being stranded on an island. When you were in phase 1, you were just eating bugs. You were just trying to survive day to day, and you weren't thinking much about what was going to happen tomorrow or next week. But now in phase 2, you're starting to get more comfortable. You're getting the hang of things, and you've decided that you're sick of just eating bugs all the time. And so maybe you go and find a new fishing hole and you start eating some delicious fish and seafood, and maybe you're starting to cook it, and life is getting a little bit better. You can start to select the types of food that you like. And that's what phase 2 is like for you as a designer. Projects are rolling in more consistently, and you can start to pick and choose maybe the projects that you're best at or the clients that are most enjoyable to work with, and you're going to see that your day-to-day work gets a lot less stressful. So in terms of taking on projects during phase 2, you can start to be a little bit more selective, but there are 3 things that you need to think about when taking on a project, because there are really just 3 things that will determine how much you earn as a designer. There is, of course, the price of the project, right? The more you charge for a project, the more you're going to make, but also there is the quantity of projects. Having just one high-paid project doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you don't get any other projects after that. And so having a high quantity of projects is going to be really necessary. And then the third thing is turnaround time and how quickly you can start a project and finish that project. And so all of these things go into play on how many projects that you can get done, how much you get paid for each one, and the more you can do, of course, the more you're going to earn. And so you need to start to calculate, what is my balance and what works best? Am I going to be the designer that just has one source of income from one client or employer and I am completely reliant on that? Or am I going to be the person that has quick turnaround times and I can pump out $1,000 websites every other day, and I'm going to be a high quantity business. And so it really just depends on what meets your skill set, what type of workflow you want to have. But considering these things is going to make life a lot easier and is going to help you narrow in on the types of projects that you're going to take on moving forward. Now, the second thing that you need to consider when you're in phase one is how to raise the floor of your MRR, or in other words, your monthly recurring revenue, because MRR really is the thing that's going to dictate how consistently you can make good money. So when I say MRR, this does not mean just taking on one-off projects for a big rate, but instead what this means is having clients or employers that pay you a monthly rate every single month, month after month, without fail. So for me, I've got a couple different things that bring in that monthly recurring revenue. We offer SEO and advertising. We maintain people's sites. We do a lot of different things just to get those recurring payments. And it's really, really nice to see that your base pay goes from being $0 and completely dependent on the next project that you land to having a guaranteed $1,000 and $5,000 and $10,000 from these recurring services that you are offering. And so right now you want to focus in on, again, the price, turnaround time, and quantity of your projects, and then also which projects or services you can offer that will increase your base monthly recurring revenue, because reaching $10,000 per month is going to get way, way easier if every month you have a guaranteed $7,000 recurring base, and then you just have to find an extra $3,000 in website projects, and you're there. You've made your $10,000 per month. Now you're headed into phase three, which is exposure. So let's take you back to the example of being stranded on this island, and things are going pretty well. You're starting to get even more comfortable, and you're hitting your same fishing hole every single day for food. You know where that food is going to come from, but there are still days where the fishing hole comes up dry and you don't get to eat that day and you're hungry. And so you decide, hey, I need to increase my reach, increase my exposure, and reach out to additional fishing holes throughout the island. And so rather than just having traps and fishing in that one hole, all of a sudden on the other side of the island, you've got 3, 4, 5 different spots that you're pulling fish from. And all of a sudden, you've got guaranteed fish not only tomorrow, but 2 days from now and 2 weeks from now, because you've got all of these different spots set up and your chances of landing more fish go way up. And so that's exactly what phase three is for you as a designer. You just need to get seen by more people and increase your chances of landing that next client. And so what this means is you need to be all over social media. You need to be sharing your work. You need to be doing everything you can to guarantee that every single day, multiple people are seeing your face, they're hearing your voice, they're seeing your work. Because if nobody's seeing you, you're going to be the best kept secret. If people can't see you, if they can't find you, they're never going to hire you. And so during this exposure phase, you need to make sure that you're still focusing on fulfillment of your current clients. Make sure that you're getting clients today and tomorrow, but also start doing things that are going to guarantee those clients 1 week from now and 1 month from now. And as your exposure reaches, you can reach the point where you've just got too many clients wanting to work with you that you have to be really selective. And you're going to have a lineup of people waiting to work with you next month and 6 months from now. And it's a really great feeling knowing that all of a sudden you're dominating this island. Like you've got it figured out and you're living a pretty good life. Now you've reached phase 4, which is diversify. And this is the hardest phase to reach. Many people never make it here. But this is the phase that not only will help you stay at $10,000 per month, but it's going to help you accelerate to $30,000, $50,000, $70,000 per month. So taking you back to the island example again, let's say that things are going pretty well, you're catching fish every day, but you are getting a little bit sick of fish because while it is a consistent way to eat, it's exhausting, it's time consuming. And so what you decide is, I'm going to branch out a little bit. I'm going to spread my wings and I'm going to start setting traps to catch land animals. And then I'm going to start foraging for fruits and vegetables, and I'm going to plant them and start a garden. And all of a sudden, you've got all of these different avenues to eat, and you're not solely reliant on just fish anymore. And you can pick the things that bring you the most joy. You can pick the things that bring you in the most resources and food. And by diversifying, you're going to live a much more well-balanced life, and your risk goes down even further. And so I put a list here of all of the different ways that you can diversify your income or the ways that you eat as a designer. And so a few ideas that I had were working with multiple clients, having part-time employment and then still freelancing. You can work as a part-time consultant, which is becoming more and more common, where someone will pay $30,000 a year to have you come and consult with them every couple weeks. You can offer consulting calls to individual businesses or other designers. You can offer paid feedback to designers where people pay you a one-off fee to look over their work and give them feedback. You can build and sell templates, processes, assets, checklists, whatever that you use that's useful, you can resell that. You can build your own businesses or own brands, whether that's an e-commerce store or whatever it is. You can start a blog. You can start a YouTube channel to get ad revenue. You can create a course to sell to other business owners or other designers. You can offer paid speaking gigs. You can learn new skills to offer as services to your past clients. The list goes on and on of ways that you can diversify as a designer. So now when we zoom out and we look at your journey as a castaway, you went from being alone and scared without anything to eat your first days there. You're eating bugs. You're living a terrible life. To starting to learn how the island works, to starting to dominate the island and finding multiple ways to take advantage of its resources. And all of a sudden now you're diversifying. You get to eat whatever you want. You've got great shelter. You've got no worries about where food's going to come from tomorrow. And at this point, you can go and you can sit on the beach and enjoy the sun, knowing that all of the processes that you've put into place are going to bring in that food, bring in those resources that you need, and it's a pretty good lifestyle. And so what I would encourage you to do right now is drop down in the comments, which phase do you believe that you're in right now? And by acknowledging that, you're gonna know what the next steps are to reach that next phase and to start increasing your income to where you can reach $10,000 per month. So if you enjoyed this video, also be sure to hit that like button. That really helps me out. I appreciate you, and we'll catch you in the next video.